All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating medical mystery, one where the body's own defense system gets its wires completely crossed. It turns a super common protein in our food into public enemy number one. It's a wild story about a hidden battle happening inside us, with consequences that can ripple through the entire body.
So let's just kick things off with this question. Imagine this. You're just, eating a sandwich, something you've done 1,000 times. But instead of your body going, great, fuel, it sounds the alarm and launches a full-on attack. That's exactly what happens with celiac disease. So let's dive in and see what that attack really looks like. And the culprit here? It's a protein I'm sure you've heard of. Gluten. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Wheat, barley, rye, it's a huge part of diets all over the globe. But for some folks, that exact protein is what triggers the body's internal alarm system. To really get what's going on with celiac, we've got to talk about what an autoimmune condition even is. Honestly, the best way to think about it is friendly fire. Your immune system, its whole job is to be your bodyguard, right? To protect you from germs. Well, in an autoimmune condition, it gets totally confused and starts attacking your own healthy tissue. And with celiac, gluten is the thing that basically gives it the wrong marching orders. Okay, so where does all this go down? Where's the battlefield? We're going to take a look inside the body, right at the crime scene, which is the small intestine. This is where the real damage occurs, and it all comes down to these tiny but super important little structures. Say hello to the villi. You can totally think of these guys as the MVPs of your gut. They're these tiny, kind of hair-like things lining your small intestine, and their job is to create this massive surface area to soak up all the good stuff, vitamins, minerals, you name it, from your food. They're absolutely critical for, well, pretty much everything. And this right here, this shows you the problem perfectly. So on one side, you've got these healthy, long villi, just ready to absorb nutrients like a champ. But on the other side, that's what celiac disease does. That immune attack just flattens them, wears them down, and when your villi are damaged like that, they just can't do their job. This leads to something called malabsorption. The takeaway here is huge. You could be eating the healthiest diet in the world, but your body is essentially starving. So this whole malabsorption thing, it's not just a gut problem. It creates this huge ripple effect across your entire body, leading to all sorts of symptoms. And a lot of them are ones you would never expect. And this right here is why celiac can be so hard to pin down. Okay, get ready for this, because this statistic is kind of wild. Over half of adults with celiac, their symptoms have nothing to do with their digestive system at all. The clues are showing up somewhere else entirely. That's why doctors sometimes call it a clinical chameleon. It can pretend to be dozens of other things, which is exactly why people can go for years, even decades, without a proper diagnosis. So let's break down some of these symptoms that show up outside the gut. You might get anemia. Why? Well, your body can't absorb iron. Or loss of bone density, osteoporosis, because you're not getting enough calcium and vitamin D. It can even show up on your skin as this super itchy, blistery rash. Or maybe it's just constant fatigue, headaches, joint pain, even that weird pins and needles feeling in your hands and feet. Every single one of these things traces right back to the body not getting the basic fuel it needs to run. And of course, there are the digestive symptoms we typically think of, right? The classic ones. We're talking diarrhea, serious bloating and gas, stomach pain, weight loss, all that fun stuff. But what's really key to remember is that an adult might have a mix of these, or believe it or not, none of them. When it comes to kids, though, the stakes are way higher. I mean, their bodies are in full-on growth mode. So for them, not absorbing nutrients can lead to some really serious developmental problems. We're talking about infants who fail to thrive, permanent damage to their tooth enamel, not growing as tall as they should, and even delayed puberty. All right, so we've got this huge list of confusing symptoms. How in the world do you solve this medical mystery? Well, the first step is figuring out who's at the highest risks to begin with. So celiac definitely has a genetic link. If someone in your family has it, your risk goes up a lot. It also tends to pop up more often in people who already have another autoimmune condition. Think type 1 diabetes or autoimmune thyroid issues. And it's linked to some genetic conditions too, like Down syndrome or Turner syndrome. Okay, everybody listen up, because this is probably the single most important thing you need to hear. If you think you might have celiac, you have to keep eating gluten before you get tested. I know it sounds crazy, but here's why.
The tests are looking for the evidence of the crime, right? They're looking for the antibodies your body makes to attack the gluten. If you cut out the gluten, your body stops making those antibodies, the evidence disappears, and you can get a false negative result. The mystery stays unsolved. So once you have that confirmed diagnosis, everything changes. The path forward is actually pretty clear. So what does life look like now? It really boils down to one thing: managing the disease so you can stop that internal attack and, most importantly, give your body a chance to heal.
And here's the thing, there's no magic pill for this. No surgery. The one and only treatment that works for celiac disease is a strict, 100% lifelong gluten-free diet. You have to remove the trigger completely. Once you do that, the autoimmune attack stops and your small intestine can finally start to repair itself.
This really shows the fork in the road, doesn't it? If you don't treat celiac disease, the path can lead to some really serious stuff. We're talking severe malnutrition, bone weakening, fertility problems, and even a higher risk of certain cancers. But if you take the other path and stick to that gluten-free diet, the benefits are huge. Your intestines heal, the symptoms go away, and your risk for all those scary complications drops way, way down. It's just amazing how a change in diet can totally change the trajectory of someone's health. So let's leave you with this thought. Celiac disease is such a powerful example of how interconnected everything in our body is, how one little protein can create this massive system-wide chaos. And it really makes you wonder, right, for the millions of people out there who are struggling with mysterious health issues, could a hidden immune reaction like this be the key, the missing piece to their own personal health puzzle?